Hi, my name's Hannah and welcome to my series Made at Home from my wedding scrapbook. Over the next 8 weeks, I'm going to show you how to save your wedding budget by creating some beautiful wedding accessories. So whether you're the bride, a bridesmaid, or even a guest at the wedding, this is a perfect video for you. And today I'm going to show you how to make the gorgeous ruffle sash. So the first stage for this is to iron your fabric, and then you need to cut it in half and then cut it in half again and then layer it so it's alternate fabrics, one on top of the other. So as you can see, I've got the translucent one and then I've got the satiny one there and there. So cut those into a nice square shape, and you need to grab your saucer or your bowl, and I've got a fabric pencil here, which means it comes off quite easily, and I need you to draw 5 of these circles onto your fabric. So then you need to pin the centre of your circle shapes. So put a little pin in all of them. It just means that when you're cutting them out, they won't move around too much and you get an even cut. So we just need to cut our circles out and just cut them out as neatly as you possibly can. That's why it really helps having a really good pair of fabric scissors to do this. And just follow that line round as best that you can. So now we've cut our circle out, I'm just going to sew a little line through the middle so our fabrics don't move around too much when we're making our sort of ruffle shape. So you just need a straight stitch, and you just need to sew about an inch through the middle and then go back on yourself so it's quite secure. And then just take that out and trim away your ends. As you can see, I've just done a little stitch through the middle, and then we don't need our pin anymore, so we'll get rid of him. And then what we want to do is fold our ruffle shape in half, and then we fold it in half again, and then I'm going to stitch just a line straight down there which will hold it in place into sort of ruffly shape. And then again, just go back on yourself again just to secure it. Now that looks pretty good to me. So it's probably about 1 centimetre from the bottom of the flower shape. So that is our first ruffle, and we're just going to repeat this 5 times. So our next stage is to attach our flowery ruffles to our waistband. Now I've got about 2 meters of this satin ribbon, and I want my waistband to be slightly offset, so I want it to be slightly to the left. So I'm going to find out where the center of the waistband is, and then I'm just going to mark that with a fine pin in the middle, so I know that that's my central point. So the next stage to this is I'm going to attach these ruffle flowers one at a time, and I'm going to use my sewing machine to do this, but you could do it by hand if you wanted to. So I'm going to grab a couple of layers of my ruffle, and I'm going to put them onto my ribbon waistband, and then I'm just going to stitch that down, or tack that down as they call it in the trade. And just go forward and back so it's secure. And I'm just going to do little lines here and there to attach that waistband. So you want another one on the other side just to hold it down. So I'm going to put another one there. And just again sew a straight line forward and back. And then we're just going to build these up one at a time. So I'm going to grab my next one and pop that in really nicely, nice and snug in there. And then tack that in. So you want to just keep repeating that process for all 5 of your ruffles and really build them up and kind of flare them out as much as possible so you can get a really pretty look. So now we've attached all our lovely ruffles. It looks pretty much almost complete. Now I can put this over my tummy, but I am 6 months pregnant, so it does look a little bit odd on me. But if you turn it over, it does look a little bit rough inside. So I'm going to cover that with our other fabric ribbon, and I'm going to just layer that over the top as much as we need. So we need about that much of it. And it's quite important with wedding things just to finish them off really, really nicely, because it's such an important day. You know, you want everything to be perfect, absolutely perfect. So I have cut my bit of velvet ribbon, and I'm just going to pin that onto the back here, just exactly over the other ribbon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stitch around the outside just to make that look lovely and all finished. And you want to get as close to the edge as possible. So on the other side, you just need to turn those the opposite way and just tack it down again. So now I have finished my backing. So I've done a nice little bit of velvet backing there. We have almost finished our sash. So the finishing touch is just to trim our ends. And like I said, it's quite important to get a good quality satin ribbon for this, because it means it won't fray and it won't kind of be horrible at the ends. So just cut them into a sort of point shape. And there we have our beautiful handmade ruffle sash. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a big, big thumbs up, and don't forget you can subscribe to My Wedding Scrapbook on YouTube. You can also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and tune in next week because I'm going to be making the lovely butterfly fascinator.